How are you doing this morning? I'm just going to sit here and wait for the live to set in. Whoops. Good morning. Good morning. I'm just going to switch and hold it by my hand, the handle. Good morning. Say hello. So for those of you that don't know, I'm broadcasting to two different spaces. I'm on TikTok and YouTube simultaneously. Oh, and I have to do the sharing on YouTube. Divine Rising, love, I miss you. We're going to do some sharing on TikTok here, so give me a second. I forget to do this. I don't normally, but lately, for some reason, just give me a second. Well, good. You should come and hang out, just like you are. Right? All right. Punky. Oop. Yay, I'll see you over here then. Remember when we used to talk about how the energy is just so much different, right? Like there's different energy, and TikTok used to have like a better energy to it, a better vibe. Hugs to you, my love. My tea is nice and hot. I almost don't want to put it down because, hi Shelby Boo, because if I put it down, then I'm going to forget about it and it might get cold, right? So I'm like, I just want to hold on to my tea. Buenos dias, Morichi. How are you? ¿Cómo está? Ooh, that solo was hot. You know, when you take a drink and it's just a little too warm. I've warmed up things sufficiently. I have to wait before I take another drink. How's everybody doing on this beautiful, and it's beautiful because we choose it to be, Tuesday. Which is awesome. Today, to just be up and honest about what we're doing. Today, we are going to be talking about the crystalline mind, dissolving thought loops, and anchoring divine intelligence. So how awesome is that to get rid of those loops? Cheers, baby girl. Hang on. I almost put that one up today. I did. I saw it and I was like, oh, maybe I should put the coffee up. But I didn't. Cheers, love. I used to do that every time when I was before. It used to be coffee though, but now it's tea. Yeah, it's nice and hot. So it's really good. It's really good. So yeah, we're gonna dissolve some of those thought loops that we're having, and we're going to anchor in our divine intelligence, which is pretty powerful stuff. We don't play around here. we do real stuff that's real important for us to be sovereign and to remember who we are and our ascension path, right? For those of you that are on TikTok, you really help me out by tapping on the screen, because unfortunately, the way the algorithm works, it's literally a popularity game. I didn't construct it that way. I wouldn't have. I would have just, but unfortunately, the way that TikTok is that you have to either get gifts or get likes on your post for them to put your post more in the For You page. So the people that are doing really, really well, they get, top billing, so to speak. So yeah. Hello. Nice to see you, Morichi. And hello, Crystal. How are you? How are you? I miss you as well. I actually realized I was a bit lonely this past weekend. I live with my mom, and when my mom goes and leaves and spends a weekend somewhere or is gone, I'm usually like, yay! You get all excited because you're like alone time, right? And who doesn't like a little bit of alone time? But this week, I didn't get that excited feeling of, yay, alone time. And I realized that I was actually feeling a bit lonely. You guys know how I used to do it. I used to be on TikTok 5 days a week for 3 hours straight, like 5 days a week. So, of course, when it was the weekend, I was looking for time to be by myself with my energy to kind of decompress or integrate or plan and be creative for the next week. But this lately, because of the way that I have changed the way that I do things, I only interact live on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I teach classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So then the rest of the week has become quite different. And I'm not interacting with my normal circles. And I've seen in the last 6 months, so many people leave my life. And so it's been an adjustment. And so I realized this past weekend I was actually feeling a little bit lonely, which is something I hadn't experienced in a while. So on Monday, instead of being like super creative and into this like working stuff, I ended up, interestingly enough, another friend was missing me and reached out. So we ended up talking on the phone for several hours. And so I ended up connecting and interacting with other people, which was quite nice. So yeah, that's the story of the weekend. My mom is doing some baking in the background. I hope that the noise isn't too.
It'll only be for a couple minutes.
Distracting. We're just going to bear with it. But we're just going to bear with it. So
just for a couple minutes, guys.
It doesn't. Yeah. I don't know. Can you hear it? Let me know, because sometimes the noise compression. She's like, no, Mom, we love you. She's baking and cooking and, like doing all of the stuff that she does, right? Actually, she made pie and muffins and all kinds of things, just all kinds of things. She's cooking all kinds of things that she's taking to other people, and also I get some, so you can't complain. Can't complain. Alrighty, so let's talk about what we're going to learn today, but we won't get into any of the practices that we have to be like meditative. We won't do those until the noise is done, but that's okay. We just have to be done at noon. That's the only hitch in the giddy up that we have, and that is that I definitely have to be off by noon so that I can get to class on time. Alrighty. So today we step beyond the noise and into the crystalline stillness of divine perception. Right. So we're going to get into our divine intelligence, which is really important. We need to be very discerning these days. There's so much misinformation, and you find in your healing journey and in your ascension path that you go through these layers, and what feels like an awakening, you find out was only layer one of it, and that there's more awakening to be done. We'll learn that, as you're going through the process, when you look at healing, right, on your healing journey, the first step when you come out of healing is you think that you're going to heal the world and you're going to heal everybody else, but that puts you in the wounded healer position, because you can't heal anybody else. They have to heal themselves. All you do is provide an example of what those practices is, right? So by embodying my truth, by embodying the practices that I embodied, I was able to move beyond the traumas that I experienced. And as I continue to do spiritual work, as I continue to incorporate spiritual practices as a part of my day, that's how I live and experience a healthy, joyful life where I also see beyond the veil, and I don't get pulled, or I try not to. I don't try not to. I do not. There's no try. What was that language? I will call myself out on it. I'm like, hang on. We don't say try. We only do. There is no try. There is only do or do not. There is no try. All right. So anyway, the unanchored mind, when you're not anchored in who you are and in your divinity, like in knowing who you are beyond this physical body, it spirals, right? It ends up looping in these spirals, repeating memory and reacting to fear and echoing inherited programming, right? And you know that. And I know that too. The election we just had in Canada, I got invested in trying to bring the truth to people in the sense that, you know, neither one is a good choice. But when we're looking at who is connected to their soul still and who is not, I was trying to kind of help guide people in that way from my energetic understanding of the members that were, you know, in the running. And, you know, in doing so, there's, you know, right now we're seeing a lot of information, right? We used to just get the information of our tribe. We would have just got the information of 100 people around us or 1,000 people or something like that. We might even have gotten, you know, say in towns, or, you know, we might get the information of that. But now we're getting worldwide information and we're getting battered with it consistently. Like it's all over the place that you're getting hit. And depending on what your belief system is and your perspective of the world, this beautiful thing called the algorithm, which is what life is, right? We talk about this in manifestation. They literally put within our social media algorithms that determine from your belief system and your patterns what you're going to continue to see. So you're going to see things biased to the direction in which you are oriented. So if you're strong liberal or Democrat, or you're strong Republican or strong conservative, you're going to see information that is going to reaffirm the viewpoint that you have, which is exactly what manifestation is. What you focus on grows in your life. So focus on abundance, focus on your health, focus on peace, focus on spirituality. Hi, Dee, and hi, Xandrian. Hello, guys. Love to you. And so, you know, we get into that space. So the unanchored mind loops. It goes into those repeating our memories, and it gets us into that space of reacting to fear. We get ourselves stuck in echoing those inherited programmings. We're not looking at the bias that our perception is. We're not looking at, well, we've always done it that way, right? There's a lot of that. I miss you. Hi, Kenzie. I hope that you're well. I see you online occasionally. I'm trying not to scroll. I'm trying to just do my content and leave and not invest in social media, especially after, you know, the election. I'm just really trying to take a break from it. But when I do come on, I do tend to see you. And when I see you, I always try to make sure that I'm interacting with your content. But I miss you and I hope you're well. So the unanchored mind loops. The crystalline mind is something altogether different, right? It's not reactive, it's receptive. And it recognizes that, you know, that there's this quest of knowledge, the thirst for the truth and understanding. I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I find it weird. I feel like I'm living in some weird space or something, because I show up every Tuesdays and Thursdays. I haven't missed any days. And yet I've had people come on and go, I don't know, I haven't seen you in a long time, or stuff like that. It's weird. Oh, it is. It's definitely a must to cleanse yourself from social media, right? You have to evaluate your bias, right? And there is the truth of the truth of the truth, right? Like, you know, when we're looking into universal truths and universal laws, or divine truths is what I like to call them. You know, your divine truths, your divine laws, there's no changing perception or opinion towards those things. That is what it is. It is set. But when we're looking at everything else, it's an inherited perception or an inherited belief that we got from our parents or that we got from society. And they installed TVs in our house and called it TV programming. They literally called it what it is. It's programming you to have certain beliefs, to feel a certain way, to think a certain way, to, you know, to see the world in a specific viewpoint. The Pentagon has a movie department. They are actually involved in many movies because they want to ensure that whatever movies are being put out are sharing the appropriate perception that they want the world to have. right? So they're seeding the perception that you have. They're seeding your belief system. Your parents gave it to you. You went to school and got indoctrinated through the school system to have a specific belief system. And then everything that you're ingesting continues to corroborate that belief system until you question it. Right? When you are in the crystalline mind, you go into your discernment and into your knowing, and what you know, and it's not based upon what's going on out there. It's not the, the stuff that you're seeing on the internet or what people are telling you. It's what you know in your knowing. So it's a sacred chamber of connecting to your oversoul. Your oversoul is what your higher self is, but it's your oversoul. It's the higher language is important, right? When we switch it, 1111 is 1111. 1111. Language is important, right? Right now, there's an assault on language, and one of the things that's happening with language is they're taking away certain things like mother, right? They're taking away language that is really specific to women. And they're changing it. So instead of a woman or a mother, it's a birthing person, or, and so they the way that changes the language, instead of calling it your womb, which is the vibration from the words, the resonance from the word womb carries things that the word uterus does not. Right? Even you can hear that. If I say womb versus uterus, you can hear how lack of life that uterus word has versus womb. Womb is the word that we're meant to use, right? But so they change the language, and they continue to do that, and that assault on language, right? So we have to be careful with the language that we're using, and look at our belief systems. Right. I had to get some tea. I needed to get some tea. All right. I think my mom might be done cooking, sort of.
I just have to do a few dishes.
So there's just some dishes that she has to do. So that's fine. Okay. So the chamber of the oversoul. So again, language. That's why we got into the language conversation. Your oversoul is what it is. When we talk in language and we say higher self, that's implying that there's something above you. It creates a structure of hierarchy. Your oversoul is the soul that spans over all of the fragmented parts of you, over all of the timelines of you. It is the oversoul of all, it's the all of you. So in language is just important. So that's why I use oversoul versus higher self. And I'm just giving an indication of why I've changed that, but also, that oversoul does mean higher self. It's just the better way to phrase it. There we go. I was like, I almost lost why I came in and started talking about language, because I'm like, I know I'm talking about divine intelligence and the crystalline mind, but why did I suddenly go off on this tangent about language? Got it. All right. So it holds thought only when needed, right? When you are sitting with your divine mind and you're sitting in with yourself in the present moment, your mind isn't churning on all this useless stuff. Your mind gets quite quiet. Right? It's not spinning. It's not churning. It just receives. And then you have that input and you can, do whatever you need to do based on that input. What are you looking for?
My insurance papers. I'm hoping I didn't throw them in the garbage yesterday.
Oh, okay. I can't help you with that. Sorry. She's looking around. So I had to help her out if I could. It's just one of those lives, guys. Just one of those lives. My mom's supposed to be out cleaning right now, but her job got changed to this afternoon. So she's just decided to continue with her baking. And it's a distractant for me. It might not be for you, and I hope it's not for you, but it literally is for me as much as I'm trying to battle against it. So we're not here to battle the mind, right? We are here to refine it to be a clear channel. So we know that what we're receiving is coming from our higher self or from our oversoul, right? That, and again, I'm just using that as we transition to using the better tone so that the people that aren't using that language understand what I'm saying when I say oversoul. So we're just bringing it to that oversoul space, right? We're not here to have an argument in our mind. And how many of us do that? Like, I know that I did a lot of arguing in my mind, a lot of discussions that I've had with people, a lot of rehashing the things that I've experienced, and just like, oh my God, it was a zoo in there, let me tell you. But now it's not. And it's interesting. I have a friend who, she constantly is like, I don't know how you function with your mind, because to her, she sees like the conversation or the speed or the stuff that I'm creating or all the different things that I'm doing. Hi, Thomas. It's been a long time. I hope you're well. Blessings to you. So she's using, I'm like, this is why I can't use my recordings for little clips, because in the middle of my conversation, I just drop right out of it and say some other stuff to people. So if I tried to repurpose this as a clip on TikTok or YouTube, they'd be like in the middle of it. Hi, Thomas. Blessings to you. But anyway, I digress. So you want to connect in so that we have that nice clear channel, and we are a vessel for insight, and we are this divine processor of our will, right? We're a harmonic processor. So today we're going to dissolve some doubt. I hope you're okay with that. We're going to clear some distortion, and we're going to return the clarity to our oversoul knowing. So we're going to start with some breath work and a little practice that we have. We're going to do a little practice. We're going to do a little practicing. That's what we're going to do. Just wanted to check in on everybody's good. Everybody's good before we get started. So before we do the practice, make sure that you're in a position to do a practice. Like if you're listening to me driving down the road, I hope that I'm just sitting in the seat somewhere and you are full attention on here and you're just listening to me like a podcast in the corner. I hope you're paying attention to what you need to be paying attention to. And if you're like operating like a big heavy machine of some sort, or you're if you're working in a factory, I hope you're just listening to me. You're not going to partake in the practices where I say close your eyes. All right. We're not no closing your eyes if you have to have them open for safety reasons. But if you are in a position to do so, make sure that your device is secure. So, you're not going to drop it. Not because you're going to fall asleep, but I lose some muscle control when I get into a really good state. So my hand could get lax and I would just drop my phone. So I'm just giving you some advice. Okay. Got another sip of tea, so we know it's not like totally lost and cold, but it's on its way. It's on its way. So the first thing that we're going to do is we want to sit up nice and tall so that our spine is upright, and we're going to close our eyes. And we're going to inhale through the nose for 5 seconds, so a count of 5, drawing the awareness inward. When we bring it in, we're going to hold it for 3 seconds. Feel your mental field gathering. And then we're going to exhale for a count of 7, and we're going to release that mental clutter and excess charge. Okay. And we're going to do this breath 3 times. Okay. So let's begin that. So we're going in for 5. We're going to hold for 3, feeling that mental clarity. And we're going to exhale for 7, releasing mental clutter and excess charge. In again for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold for 3. 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to do this again. In for 5, drawing awareness inward. Hold for 3. Feel your mental field gathering. And exhale for 7, releasing mental clutter and excess charge. Now that you've done the breath for 3 counts, you're going to visualize a crystalline column of diamond light entering your crown. It spirals through the brain, rewiring thought patterns with clarity. Feel the cerebral cortex cool. The pineal gland begin to pulse. and the spine illuminate. Now you're going to speak aloud. I dissolve distortion. I return to clarity. I receive Oversoul intelligence. My mind is a temple of divine signal. And then remain still for 1 minute. We're going to sit here for 1 minute and allow that to just integrate into your being, into your energetic space, your physical, into your brain, into your DNA. Feeling the shift. How do you feel? How did that feel? How did you enjoy that particular practice? Oh, something. Oh, that was weird. My screen was off for a second on YouTube. It went black. It was weird. Interesting. How do you enjoy that? Did that feel good for your body? Does your mind feel more clear? Do you feel more connected? My foot's asleep. That tea bag's gonna. Right? Do you feel more connected? All right. People are quiet this morning. You're just quiet today. That's okay. Some days are just quieter than others, and that's okay. Not quite sure why I hope that's not turning out like that, seeming to go black. Are you able to see me? Whoever, like the people that are on YouTube, you don't see my screen going black occasionally, do you? You felt the cool? Nice. All right, so we're going to talk about this a little bit more. We're going to talk about the thought loops versus the divine intel streams. Okay, so thought loops are like static circuits, right? They keep you just going in swirls, but never evolving, right? Because most times, and I talked about this numerous times in the last 4 years, about how when we're in the overthinking phase, we're not in a solution-based thinking, right? We're not sitting there going, okay, so if this happens, then what shall I do? Okay, so I can make that plan. And if that's not what happens, but this is what happens, then what shall I do in that situation? Okay, this is what I'm doing. So that's my backup plan. And if no, we just spiral in our minds about, oh my God, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And we might think about, I do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, but we don't go into the actual, like making it into a viable plan or, anything like that. We just sit in that spiral, looping in those repetitive circles, right? And they don't often get even noticed. Like we're not really conscious of those loops in the way that we should be, right? It's until we sit down and we pay attention that it's a repetitive program that we're actually running, right? We won't recognize that. And oftentimes until we slow down so that we can feel their weight and we can understand what they are. So these loops can be from your unresolved traumas. They can be cultural imprinting. They can be your inner criticism or inherited ancestral patterns, right? Any one of those things can keep you looping in until you identify, and it's identifying where those loops are coming from. Like, where did I get this? Why do I believe this way? Why do I continue to do the things that I'm doing? Why do I continue to see these patterns showing up in my life, right? That's what we want to be looking at. So these will replay as self-doubt that masks as humility, right? Like, so being very, like, yeah, like, I don't know. I think that I draw okay. But like, I don't think that I'm, like, I'm definitely not as good as them. Right. So we kind of lock ourselves in. Hello, Mira. How are you? And hi, June. we keep ourselves in that self-doubt, but in like acting like we're, you know, in a very humble, or in that humility, right? We have fear that masks as logic, right? Where we're afraid of things, and so we think in the opposition. So when we're talking about that bias that we get within our mindset, right? So that fear of what potentially is coming at us, we start to look at things, and then we think that we know, and we're really logical about it because we have this viewpoint that is different from what the fear is representing itself as. So if we looked at what's going on right now, and they made Canada afraid of the Conservative Party because they made the Conservative Party look like it was aligning with Trump, and they promoted Trump as wanting to take, because of what Trump's saying with the 51st state. So they used all of that to create fear. So then the people that were thinking liberal, they were thinking logically, they're combating that fear by being liberal, right? So their logic is, they think that they're again, you know, that they're being very logical because they're not aligning with what is being represented as fear, right? And it can go back and forth the other way too. I'm just using the recent election and what they did as an example. And as it stands, you know, like I should say that for TikTok and for YouTube as well, this is my channeling. This is my knowing. This is my truth. But this is for entertainment purposes, unless it aligns with you. You know, like I'm not going to submit, you know, an APA formatted source list for what I'm talking about here. It either resonates with you or it doesn't resonate with you. So, you know, for TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes, or YouTube, sorry, for those guys and their metrics, so they don't shut down our live because we're talking about these things. Hi, Rejoice. Right. So these patterns reveal the truth, right? These patterns don't necessarily reveal the truth, right? They obscure it. So in contrast, sorry, I didn't cover a couple of the other ones. I skipped because I got distracted. So overanalysis is rooted in powerlessness, right? We're not taking action. We're just continually analyzing things, but not actually moving on them or taking any choices. When you feel in your power, you make a decision, you commit to it, and you move forward and you execute the plan. When you are in doubt, you keep analyzing it because you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to make a decision. I don't trust myself fully. So I'm going to go and ask other people to help me make a decision. I'm going to talk to my friends endlessly, and I'm still not going to make a decision. I'm going to defer the decision to other people to make the decision for me because I don't feel competent enough to make a decision. So that's what ends up happening when we're in that over analysis, is why it's an example of powerlessness, right? We're analyzing it because we don't feel certain. We don't feel this knowing, or we don't trust the knowing that we have to move forward. When you are in your knowing, you make decisions and you just know it's the right decision. You don't question it. You don't sit and think about it over and over and over and over and over again. You just do it. So in contrast, right, then ruminations. The other thing is ruminations that delay decision. So the over analysis and the ruminations, they fall in the same space, right? They delay your decision, or they just show you that there's some powerlessness that you're feeling in some situation, whether that's a lack of confidence in yourself or in your abilities or in your place in the world, right? That's how that's showing up. So in contrast, the divine intelligence streams, they do not loop. You don't spend your time in your brain going, I don't do that. My brain's quite quiet. And I like it that way. They just descend, right? They arrive in silence, in clarity, and presence. They are encoded with higher order. They're often simple, profound, and direct. And they come through the oversoul, not the ego. So it's not going to be about making me look fantastic or elevating me in some glamour way. Like that's not what my oversoul is going to be directing me to do, right? I'm meant to embody my truth, and I'm meant to do planetary, to assist in Mother Gaia in her awakening by awakening myself and remembering, right? Like we're meant to come here and remember and reseed that Christic consciousness. We're meant to do that. Okay. So the crystalline, when you know you're in a thought loop, when you feel tight, dizzy, overwhelmed, scattered, or compulsive. You'll know divine intel when you feel grounded, still, illuminated, and open, right? So there are very different ways that you feel when you're receiving the information. The crystalline mind does not reject thought. It organizes it. It holds a luminous architecture that naturally filters distortion and aligns with truth, right? When something comes in, when you're in your crystalline mind, it comes in and you're like, yeah, that's false. Nope, that's false. Nope, that's false. But that's true. That's true. Nope, false. And you don't even, and you feel grounded, right? It holds that, that balance, that unbiased space for it. So just as a crystal reflects light into coherent beauty, your mind, when attuned, refracts source information into clear insight. So the task isn't to kill the mind, it's to clean house, or to clean the lens, right? So you're seeing clearly. You are not the loop, right? You are the frequency keeper of the signal beneath it. So you just need to figure out, what is it that's disturbing your signal? What is it that's taking you or creating static in your field, right? So thought loops are like static circuits. They swirl, but they don't evolve, and they're often rooted in trauma, anxiety, identity defense, right? We defend who we are. I've always been this way. I've always been this person. Our family's been this way. Our family's a bunch of angry people. We've always had this, always experienced this, or this is who I am. I'm a victim that's experienced all these terrible things, and people will know me because I tell them about all the things that I've experienced, and all the, like life just always beating me up, or I've experienced all these things and look at me now. Right? Like there's this energy of like me, but not in the sense of the healthy way. So you're not the loop, right? You're not the loop. And so the divine intelligence, it comes from those higher dimensions, and they are encoded in stillness and solution and in simplicity. They arrive without force and without grasping. The crystalline mind operates like a tuning fork. It tunes your frequency. It aligns with your specific frequency. It attunes to clarity, and it filters the false signals and amplifies the truth, right? So the mind was never meant to control reality. It was designed to decode and organize light-based intelligence. Our task is not to silence thought. Our task is to sanctify it. So that we're having clear thought, not muddied up or distorted or static thought that keeps us looping. Had to get some more of that tea in. All right. So this activity is done standing up. I can't do that because of the way that my devices are. If you can do that, I hope that you do, for sure. So you're supposed to stand up, okay, slowly with reverence, right? We do everything in reverence. And you're going to lift your arms upward on the inhale, okay, receiving golden light through the crown. And then as you exhale, you're going to draw that light down into your heart. Okay. So lift your arms up into the light. Bring the light down into the heart. And then exhale. Okay. We're going to repeat times 3 and bring the arms up, lifting the arms up. Exhale down into the heart. One more like that. Inhale up. Bring the light into the heart. Now we're going to do some neck rolls. Okay. Do some neck. You can start with the one side, roll it down and up. Roll it down and up. Okay, we can turn from left to right. Okay, and lift up and down. We can even turn with our ear towards our shoulder. So we're doing like a tick-tock motion. Okay, we can roll our head in a circle, but do so slowly. And if you're feeling any pain or tension, then don't go so like lessen the angle that you're pulling, like lessen the amount that you're pulling. Okay, now we're going to involve our shoulders, and we're going to do some shoulder rolls. And then after we do a couple of shoulder rolls, we're going to drop our shoulders so they're not uptight by our ears, dropping our shoulders. Okay, and now we're going to just sway side to side. And finally, tap our forehead lightly. We're going to tap the back of our skull, imagining dissolving dense thoughts from the mind field. Okay. This is the causal chakra at the back of your head. Okay. And now we're going to affirm, I descend from thought into truth. I rest in clarity, anchored in my oversoul. My nervous system is safe to receive light. Okay. All right. So that practice is a practice that allows you to connect the crown to the heart, right? So, and it's a neural realignment. The practices that we're doing are working with your nervous system and working with energy to create that powerful transition. It's like with EMDR when they do the eye movement desensitization, right? And reprogramming. So it's the same concept, and that's why we went through the specific routine that we did. So the in, down, right? Repeating the breath times 3, bringing the light into your heart space. The neck rolls, right? Were another big part of it. Hi. The neck rolls are another big part of it. Then dropping your shoulders to get out the the tension, right? Because tension is where overthinking locks the mind, right? So we get that tension and we get all locked up in here, and we want to just release that down. And then again, the tapping of the forehead, the tapping of the back, the causal chakra, and then imagining dissolving those dense thoughts. There we go. I could not come up with the word dense for a minute there. Cheapers. All right. So some of the common questions that I get about mental sovereignty. 1, how do I stop obsessive thoughts? So 1, you're going to redirect with breath and movement. Obsessive thoughts are often unprocessed energy. So ground through touch, voice, water, or nature, and use pattern interruption, not force. So when the thought comes in and you catch that it's a repetitive thought, go to your breath, interrupt it with another track. I used to teach all the time for rubbing your thumbs across your forefingers and across your fingers and feeling the sensation. This allows you to ground into your body. And as you're breathing in and out, you can say, where am I here? What time is it now? So you're doing somatics because you're involving your body and grounding into it, and you're interrupting the loop by creating another loop that's much more healthier because it's grounding you in the present moment. You can go out for a walk, go move your body, journal out those thoughts, and then burn them in the fire. Like use nature as a transmutation tool, or a transmutation tool as well. And it's not transmutation. Anyway, that word just dropped out of my head. Transformation. We're transforming it anyway. All right. So what if my thoughts are loud during meditation? Right? Just let them pass like clouds. We talked about it like stream, like leaves floating by on a stream. And I used to say that, the whole practice of meditation is that when a thought comes in on a stream, that you don't follow the stream, right? You don't have the thought of, I need to go grocery shopping, and then begin to build the list. If you do see the word, like have in your mind, I need to go grocery shopping, you allow that thought to just go by non-judgmentally and don't follow it. And just note to yourself, after I'm done meditating, I need to write my list. right? So it's just not about gripping onto them. If you place your awareness back on your breath, or place your awareness on a mantra, like I said, where am I here? What time is it now? Or as a lot of mantras that you could use for it, that's going to allow you to pull back from that thought, right? You're interrupting it. And over time, your mind gets entrained. It gets trained. Like you train your mind to respond better. So how do you know if it's oversoul or ego? Where's the information coming from? So the oversoul guidance will feel calm, direct, and neutral. When we're looking at ego, those thoughts are going to come from emotional charge, urgency, or self-judgment, because the divine intel does not rush, because there's time is an illusion, right? So you don't feel pressured. It just radiates, and you feel more. I feel like there's just like I have an engine that's just in me, that I move in that specific direction with ease. And it's just takes you in that direction. It's not about somebody forcing me in a direction, or me needing to push myself in a direction, or, like that I have to drag myself in any way. I'm not being pushed because I need to make money. I'm not being pushed because I need to, I'm not making those be the focus of it. I'm doing it because it's inherently a part of who I am and my soul. That's it. And whatever shows up for me, I know that I'm always going to be taken care of. That's the other thing, is that I have that divine knowing that it doesn't matter. I'm going to be taken care of. Does that mean that I'm going to have billions of dollars in the bank? No, but I wouldn't have billions of dollars in the bank. I don't want to hoard money. I wouldn't want to hoard something like that. I would want to help out other people. So that, right there, I know that, that's just who I am. I think that hoarding wealth when people are starving is ridiculous. But anyway, that's not what we're going to talk about today. So I'm not even going to go into that depth. So can thought loops be from karmic or ancestral programming? Yes, absolutely. You may be looping inherited scripts. Think about just being around your parents, and if they're saying the same things over and over and over again the whole time that you're growing up, then you get seeded with that information or that belief system. And it can be inherited so far back, right? How long ago was it when your family started saying that they never have any money, or that money is, the root of all evil? Or when did they seed that belief system that you inherited into your body, that you now say, that you go, that you echo as the response from your ancestors? If there was trauma in your family that came generationally after generation, then likelihood that there is anxiety, depression, that you were around somebody that was an overthinker because their trauma was not processed, right? It was an unprocessed trauma. So they would have been operating in their trauma set. So it's that mindset of overthinking. So you would have been around that your whole life. So of course you're going to adopt that type of a behavior, or think that pattern is normal. It is your normal, until you realize that that's not the normal, right? So of course we can, through karma and through ancestral programming, inherit these loops. So what if my mind still resists stillness? In the beginning, it's very, very normal. And even many times throughout your journey, you're going to have moments where your mind does not want to go to stillness, or it's more of a challenge. And that's just almost an opportunity for you to recognize that you need to be maybe doing it more, or that maybe you need to change your practice up a bit. Mindfulness or, meditation doesn't always have to be sitting down quiet going, right? Sometimes meditation's a walking meditation. You can be doing meditating while you're creating, right? There's lots of different ways that you can be meditating. When you're cooking, it's normal. The mind has been conditioned to be overstimulated. Look at all the things that we have. It's instant. It's all here, all fast, all kinds of whatever, right? We're literally taught to go, do, engage, consume, give our attention outwardly to everything else and to everybody else. We were trained to be like that. Society trained us. Our parents even trained us, right? I mean, Gen X was the one generation that actually lucked out, because we came from a generation of where our families were just delving into TVs like mad, but they didn't want the kids around. So they would kick us outside and say, come on when the lights come on. and outside we went. So we weren't ingesting all the programming. We were outside connecting with nature. We were outside building forts and running in the woods and, investigating and being creative and using our minds and, being quite feral, as they called it. That was the best thing for us, because that meant that during those formative years that we had, we weren't being programmed 24/7, or we weren't even being programmed 8 hours a day, right? The worst thing that we had to suffer through was indoctrination through the education program. But nonetheless, that's why Gen X is different, is because we were the generation that did not sit in front of the TV. And so we didn't get that programming that influenced our perception on the world. And we continue to question things that we see. So when you're overstimulated, what you want to do is, instead of fighting that resistance, you want to soften into sensation. So touch your body, feel your breath, or do toning and humming, right? Doing those can disrupt the energy. We're going to keep going in the loops, right? It can clear that. So we're going to do an Oversoul Code Affirmation, a mental recalibration sequence, and then we're going to go into the closing, and I'm going to get to class because it starts promptly at noon, and I'm the teacher, so I definitely can't be late. So first off, we're going to start off with our practice, and the practice is not a huge, long practice. Most of the ones that I do in my lives aren't big, long practice. So we're going to take our left hand, that for me is this hand, if it may look in opposition, and we're going to put it over our crown. And we're going to take our right hand and put it over our heart. Okay. You're going to close your eyes, and you're going to feel light pouring in from your oversoul through your crown, connecting your brain and body. Okay. So just sit with that for a minute, visualizing that light source coming in through your crown from your oversoul into your heart. Now you're going to speak with clarity. I no longer chase clarity. I embody it. My mind is crystalline. My signal is pure. I think only what serves my divine design. I receive, align, and transmit oversoul intelligence. And now you're going to visualize your entire mental field stabilizing with a golden web of coherent thought gently expanding from your skull. You're going to let it settle and let it seal. And when it's there, you take your hands and open your eyes and come back. So we've got a bunch of journal prompts. I created a journal for you. It's in the Temple of Light, which is a free group that I have on my website, which is the same as my YouTube and TikTok name, Anshara'El.com. So you can go there and join the free group. And I don't spam you with emails if that's what you're worried about, and because you have to sign up for the email thing. You will get an email if you choose to let you know when there's a new post in the group, but you don't have to. But it's a free group, and in the group I put the journal pages up for this week's show. So there's 2 that are there, because next session is going to be the water. It's going to be about water. Is the waters of remembrance is what we're going to be talking about next on Thursday. So there's a journal that's there for that as well. And so I've created it's called a Crystalline Mind journal that's posted. And then there's the Waters of Remembrance journal that's posted as well, that go in alignment with these shows. So if you want, after the live, to have a little bit more depth, and it has a mantra and everything within the journal as well. So if you want to do that, you can get that through the Temple of Light, which, like I said, is a free group, completely free. So, you can go and join that. There's also a still point meditation series that will be inside the Guardian Pathway, but the Guardian Pathway is a paid group. It's $22.22 per month. I do one live session per month in that group where we, delve into things, but there's a ton of stuff that gets shared. There's audio transmissions, there's guides, there's journals, there's activations, transmissions, there's all kinds of stuff. And then, that's part of the Ascension Gateway, Guardian Pathway, and Christic Mastery Circle. It's a set of tiered groups that I have on my website. So you can check out. There's a bunch of other groups too. There's a Still Waters, Temple of the Inner Voice, which is a group for a softer awakening experience. And then there's the Oracle Chamber, where I do a lot of different things, but it is really connecting with like my messaging, transmissions that I get, channelings that I receive, and stuff like that, and guiding you to connect to your own knowing and channeling and your messaging, so that you're starting to receive your own messages and transmitting those. So that's in the Oracle Chamber. So those groups, but the Temple of Light is free, so you can go there and you can access the Crystalline Mind journal. And what I have for you as well, if you have any things that you want to comment, please comment on the video on YouTube. And if you want to watch the replay or do any of the activations that we did, just go catch that on the YouTube channel, Anshara'El. And before you go to bed tonight, though, light a candle and ask your Oversoul to dream with you. Okay. And then record any insights in the morning. Okay. So you just do the little practice. You blow the candle out before you go to sleep. This isn't light a candle and go to bed. It's light a candle, sit in reverence, connect with your Oversoul, ask them to dream with you tonight, blow out the candle, go to bed. Okay. All righty. So that's it for today's show, because I'm going to get going, so that unless I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to chit chat, if you have anything that you want to share about your experience with today's show, or any questions that you want to ask. But just let the static dissolve, let the clarity anchor, and let the crystalline mind return. That's all we need to do. How was that? How was that? How did you like that? Hi, Lindsay. Hi, Virginia. Beautiful. I love you guys. Thank you so much for that, Virginia. Sometimes I get interrupted. Someone will put a comment down and I saw the comments come up. I'm like, I'm not saying nothing until I'm done talking, or else I'll lose what I was going to say. So yeah. So check those out. And there's all kinds of stuff that's on my YouTube channel, or, in the groups and stuff like that. And like I said, they're really powerful groups. My whole focus anymore is on assisting you with your ascension. So it's the Pathway of Ascension. Come and join us there. And also check out some of the individual offerings that I have that are there. And I have books that are available as ebook purchases. When I do put journals up there, I try to make them fillable where possible. But if not, I will indicate that it's a printable journal, and that would be the way to know it. But there's books up there. One of the books that is up there is called The Divergence Code, and it's all about the divine truth about ADHD and neurodivergent souls. So it's a really beautiful book that has a lot of practical tools. At the end of each chapter, there's a ton of practical tools. It's fillable, so you can do all of that in there. It's a beautiful book for $14.44 Canadian. So if you're somewhere else, it's really cheap. Like America or the UK, it's really cheap. Beautiful. I love that. Well, I love you guys. Just remember that next session the next show is on Thursday, and the show on Thursday is all about the waters of remembrance, healing the inner ocean, and restoring emotional sovereignty. So we're taking back our mind. Now we're going to take back our emotions. Right. So come and hang out with me on Thursday. The live should start at about 10:44 is when I have it programmed to start. Today it was a little bit late because my computer decided I couldn't have access to my camera, and my mom was whipping, using the blender to whip eggs, like make egg peaks.
No, I was whipping Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Sorry, she's making whipping cream. So she was whipping it, and it was really loud. So I was just like, well, I can't get my camera working, so I'm going to fuddle with my camera. And then when I did, I was like, well, I'm just going to let my mom finish doing her whipping before I start it, because I figured it would be a little bit of a distractance. So that's why the show started when it did. But yeah, we'll see you guys on Thursday, 10:44, unless my camera decides to be a bit of a, but we're just going to have hope and we're just going to believe it's going to be fine. But I love you guys, or come and catch me on Anshara'El.com and see what I have to offer there. Join the free group and get that's my 5-minute message. I got 5 minutes. It got to go. So, and get the journal for today's show. Mwah. Love you guys. Have a beautiful day. Bye guys. Love you. Thank you, Virginia. And welcome. Love to you, friend.